Welcome to the Calisthenics Show. My name is Daniel Flefil and today I'm gonna interview Dan Rosenberg, the champion of Israel in calisthenics and street workout. In this interview we will learn how he started, how he helped build the community in his country and how he became the champion of Israel. And for those who don't know, Dan Rosenberg is a GORNATION Pro athlete. And just because of that, you'll get a 10% discount from GORNATION's website. Just use Flefil10 in the checkout or click the link down below in the description. They have different calisthenic clothes and also different equipments for calisthenics, so check them out. Now buckle up, get your popcorn and let's get started. Yo, Dan Rosenberg, welcome to the Calisthenics Show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here as well.
And today we're gonna know more about you, your history, how you have succeeded in the sport, and how you actually started. So we're gonna go deep into who Dan Rosenberg is, if I pronounce that right.
Oh, you say it like a German.
Okay, how do you say it in Israel?
In Israel, it will just be Dan Rosenberg. So the R is a lot less aggressive and it's just not a German accent.
Okay, because for me it sounds the same. It's for me.
Yeah, that's maybe legit because you're not from each of the countries, but in Israel it's like you can really sound German if you say it like that. I would just say Dan Rosenberg. It's even a bit weird for me to say it with an English accent.
Okay, great. Today we're gonna know more about you, and I said that we're gonna do this interview for a long time. I didn't know that interviews would take so long to do, but I'm happy I'm doing it, and the calisthenics community seems to love these, and they asked for you as well, so now we are here. So how old are you and where are you from?
So I'm 21 and a half years old now. I'm from Israel. I live in really close to Tel Aviv, very close to the beach.
The famous calisthenic beach with a setup that I love. I really want to visit Israel. I really want to visit the community. It just looks so crazy. When you have the meetups, it seems like it's 1,000 people there.
Yeah, it's not 1,000, but a few hundreds would be, like 200 is not exaggerated. We are very much waiting for you and Malin to come and visit. The community will be happy, you will be happy, and the vibe is just amazing.
And hopefully I will meet some of the people who are watching my videos on YouTube as well.
Definitely. It's common for me, like lately, to hear people telling me that they see Daniel's videos. Actually, I had like 2 days ago a conversation with someone. Your videos, I really like them. Someone told me he watched everything and he's waiting for my interview.
Damn, it's so sick to hear this. I'm doing this for the community. For those who are watching or listening, I don't earn shit from these interviews, like zero. It's like when people say, yeah, YouTube ads, I get like $2 for the interview. I really want to dive deep into the athletes, give the true story behind them, and not only the rumors, oh, he does that because, that's rumors. I want to hear you.
I think it's also because, big athletes usually have also big Instagram profiles, and it's really not a true resemblance of the reality behind the Instagram. Even if you're trying to, communicate through Instagram your authentic self, like I'm trying to do, I know that if someone is watching only my Instagram, he won't know anything true about me, about my real me. So that's basically why I'm here. And I think that's also why you're doing this, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why I'm doing it. And we're gonna go into what you have been talking on like YouTube here in the interview as well. But how tall are you, and what is your weight today?
That's a very common question. I'm 170 centimeters tall, and my weight is right now 66. I used to be more, but during the corona and everything, maybe we can talk about it too, I dropped like 5 kgs, and now it's 60. It's actually really good for me now.
I've seen that you have dropped a lot. I've seen also that I think you have tried to shred down a bit, if I'm not wrong. Is it any specific reason?
It started as something that is not on purpose, because corona, hit everything, and then in Israel we had the lockdown around March. I was also in a very not good mental state at that point. Everything together just led to the fact that I'm just dropping weight. I didn't eat too much, I wasn't training much. Both of them together is just weight dropping recipe. So I dropped like muscle and fat, around 6 kgs total. But I also got shredded. And when I saw that when I started training again, then I tried to keep it that way to stay shredded, but just recover the strength.
I've seen the pictures in the bathroom. You're showing you're shredded, and I've seen you drop a lot. I can notice that in both the freestyle, how you feel lighter or you seem lighter, and also like how you like, because you and your brother, for me, you're big, not big in a bad way. You have been always the big buffy guys. So now seeing you more shredded in like towards my type of body, how I look, you can see the difference. But you need to tell me one thing. What is it up with the toasters with, is it Nutella?
Actually, it's I'm so happy you brought this up, because I have like so many messages from Israelis and a lot of people not from Israel asking about this. So it's really good that I can clarify this here. So basically, the bread that I'm using is a bread that is called matzah. It's a Hebrew word, of course. And it's basically a food that we eat only in a specific holiday in Israel that is in April usually. It's called Passover, and it's really like the Jewish holiday that is happening when you have Pascha.
I don't know what that is. No.
Holiday with the eggs.
Easter.
Yeah, Easter. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with the holidays. Kind of the same time of the year, but for us it's a different holiday, of course. It's Jewish holiday, and this is basically the bread that we eat there instead of regular bread. For the whole holiday, which is around 2 to 3 weeks, we eat only this bread, and we don't eat anything that is like normal bread. If you're religious, it's like against the rules to eat regular bread at this time. I'm not religious at all, but it's a fun tradition, and a lot of people do it. And one of the combinations to have with this kind of bread is Nutella. And honestly, until this year, I didn't eat it much, never. After this year's Passover, I started to, I had a lot of matzah in my house because no one really eats it too much. And then it also was the time where I started to really go into spiritual development and self-development, because I was in a bad state mentally. I realized that I have to have a morning routine. And then I just searched for something sweet that I can eat in the morning. I had too much matzah and some Nutella, so I just decided to have this every morning. Although it's against a sportive lifestyle, because it's Nutella, I don't really care about this. It was really, my mental health is a priority before sportive lifestyle. So that's why I eat it every day. And now it's actually still because of my morning routine, but now it just symbolizes for me, the progress that I've done. And also it's became like kind of a trend. So it's funny.
I was looking at when you're eating every day, I'm like, this guy is trying to shred. Maybe this is not the best way, I didn't know the story behind it. But like bread, Nutella. I'm like, what is this? Every single day. But now you explain, like I understand it's a thing for the mental health, and not about, oh yeah, I eat it because I don't want to eat it because shredded or whatever. It's just for the mental part.
It's definitely a priority for me above the sport, definitely.
When did you start with calisthenics? And why did you start with calisthenics?
So I started in calisthenics around June 2013, I would say. So summer of 2013, I finished elementary school. 8th grade in my city is end of elementary school, and I just went to high school, right? That year, around June, one of my friends, a Russian friend at school, came to me and said, look what I found on YouTube, showed me some videos of Russian guys doing muscle ups and like very basic stuff on the bar. But I do remember that I used to watch a lot of Hannibal for King. That real OG. That was a big motivation for us. So this is how we started. Then right into high school, this is where we started to really get serious. It was actually a bit hard in high school to do it. Socially, it was very not acceptable to do what we did because 2014, 15 street workout wasn't what it is today, because right now it's kind of blowing off. 5 years ago it was really like in our school we were actually even a bit bullied, I would say. Not physically because we were starting to train, but mentally, definitely, verbally, a lot of bullying. I remember doing street workout. We didn't have bars or like normal stuff. We had some rusty bars and just benches and stuff at school. So we started experimenting like everyone does today, but it wasn't acceptable back then, and people were just sitting in front of us on other benches. I remember it together and just looking at us and laughing, really laughing. And that was, I wasn't as strong as I am now, not physically and not mentally, and that really, I feel like it really has shaped me, and insecurity in me that I'm still working on until today. I really remember from that time, it wasn't easy to do it.
It's so weird that I remember everybody that was working out, like especially in Sweden here, if you work out, you were getting stronger. Nobody bullied you for that. It's crazy that like you get bullied to train when you're training.
It's not only training, because we didn't only train, we did street workout, which like planches, handstands, and bro, we weren't really good at that, right? I was planches like I do today. I only tried planches. People were just looking at us. We were different than everyone. It was strange for them. We started to gain some muscles. So it, of course, threatened their egos. So everything together made them just bully us. And I have some really bad memories from that time. It wasn't one time, not twice. It was a lot. So it's 2 years. And the next years, when I just when street workout became more popular, and then I got the champion of Israel for the first time. It's funny because whenever the people just hear champion of something, national champion, they immediately think that it's an important thing. I think it's really stupid. But when I got this label, which is only a label, people started to respect me. And at the end of we were training in the breaks, right? Because you have some breaks for food. So we were going to the bars, doing 20 minutes of statics, and after a few years, also some dynamics. In 2016, we started doing some dynamics. During the high school, it was only Tom, my brother, of course, you know him, 2 other guys. This was our group from the whole high school. But at the end of high school in 2017, it was us doing the tricks and like 30 people around us looking and taking videos and trying stuff also after us. So that's a big thing that changed. I still, like when I train in the neighborhood, I have some group training. I still see people from my high school that were younger than us, and they're still doing street workout, and there's actually a community here, and that's amazing for me because it's been a really hard journey.
I didn't know that you got bullied for doing handstands and stuff. It's crazy that the kids, it's kids that bully you for doing those stuff. And for me, I got bullied for 9 years, and I have a different experience than you. I say that it's the best thing that has ever happened because it shaped who I am and I got stronger. They bully you because they don't feel good about themselves for not even wanting to try or even doing what you are doing.
It's only between themselves, right? It's within them. It's not even what I'm doing. I'm sure that they were also laughing about other stuff that they've seen. I never laugh at someone. I try to get in their shoes and see what they are doing. And you can also gain a lot if you do that, if you have that mentality. But they were just kids looking for something to laugh at, looking for, something to make their friends laugh about. And it was easy to do it for us because we were different. We did strange stuff. And they saw that we were gaining muscle, and it threatened them. I don't think it was a bad thing necessarily. It led me to where I am today. I really feel good now about everything that was. I feel comfortable talking to these people. I'm not mad at them. I don't hate them. I actually feel compassion for them. But I do feel that I still have to cope with some stuff that were, because in the high school, you're getting really, your personality shapes socially. That's the years that it's really shaping you. And of course, you can change everything later, but I still feel some parts of me that have insecurity with the sport. It might be surprising to you, but I do feel sometimes insecurity with the sport that I'm doing, which is definitely 100% not rational. And that's because of that. So I'm working on that.
But what was the reason? Why did you choose calisthenics?
I was always into athletics and sport. I never did anything professionally, but I was always into athletics, sports, moving, climbing trees, jumping. some parkour when I was like, I don't know, 11. When I found street workout, I was at the age where I can take it when I'm mature enough to do it professionally. Because it's not like a sport when you have a trainer. You have to take yourself and do it. And I was 14, I could actually start doing that. And also, it was something that for the first time really sparked me from the inside. And I really had a passion for it, I would say, a real passion for it that I didn't have for other stuff. Because I always liked sports, but this was more than liking it, it was just a passion.
What was your first goal when you started? What was like, I'm gonna learn that?
Probably a muscle up. I started with 2 pull-ups. I remember we had a school test for pull-ups, and I did 2 pull-ups.
Many think that strong athletes, the craziest athletes like Viktor Kamenov, Eric, when it comes to the strength, that they were born like that. But these guys, like yourself, have never, they started with 2 pull-ups, 1 pull-up, not even one. This is something I'm really trying to be transparent with those who are listening, that it's not free, you need to work. Everybody starts somewhere.
I agree, and I would even add that Eric Ortiz, Viktor Kamenov, they're only humans. And you are human too, if you're listening now. You're also human, and you guys are all basically the same. They just took it to the next level by working, as Daniel said. It's not something that was given to them. You can have it too as a human. You just have to work for it. It's not that they got something that you don't have. They just worked to just push the human ability to the limit, and you can do the same.
Israel now they have a big, strong calisthenic community, and you and your brother are known in Israel for this. Do you remember what the reason was why you started to get popular in the country?
So there's 2 reasons, I would say. As I said before, 2013 when I started, it was also non-existent. There was a community. I had some idols in Israel that were good, but it wasn't that known, not as known in the public as it is today. There was a community, it had some people, but it was closed. No one knew really outside the community what street workout is. When the championship time passed, the first reason, the sport grew in Israel as it is around the world. It grows. And I think that in Israel specifically, it grew also because people like free stuff, especially in Israel. Street workout is free. You can get really good results without paying money if you even want just to do your body. So that's one thing that I feel like in the back of the mind, people here in Israel feel like they really want to do it. Because if you go to the gym, you have to pay. And if you go to the beach, you don't really have to pay anything. And you can do cooler stuff even, or maybe impress more people if you're doing street workout than if you're going to the gym, which is one of the reasons people do this stuff, going to the gym or doing street workouts, just to impress others. And that's legit. Other reason is that Tom and I became more popular because we're twins, and we just really grew exponentially in the sport together, which is something pretty rare. That's something that really caught the attention of a lot of people. We went to and also we did some very special stuff because this is our nature and our personality to do extraordinary stuff and really push something that we're into. We built bars in our school. We went to the mayor and to the school principal. We helped them get the decision to build more bars in our school. So we basically have a park of bars in our school. And also we were in the news, we were in the newspaper, and that was around when we won the national championship for the first time together. This very extraordinary stuff that we did in the sport made the sport grow more people knew it. And our personality and the fact that we're twins and our labels that we achieved together, everything just made us really more dominant from the outside in the sport. And together with that and the growth of the sport, after a few years, it's just it's in a really good state here in Israel.
How has calisthenics changed your life?
That's a really good question. It's gonna be hard to answer because there's so many aspects, and I don't have a list. I just live it, So and it changes always. My life is being affected by calisthenics every day. But I would say that maybe the most important things that pop to my head now is it gave me self-confidence, first of all, and it's the most maybe basic answer, but it's very true. When you gain muscle mass and you look stronger from the outside, it also affects your inside. Of course, you can get the self-confidence in other ways, and you don't have to be buffed for that, but it really helps for that, especially for teenagers. The second one would be that I developed the ability of being consistent with something because, at the beginning, everything is fun. Calisthenics is really fun. The first hype is amazing. I still see people when they start. It's really warming my heart. But after 7 years, it's not the same. You have to have developed ability of being consistent and dedicated for something.
Like the discipline.
Yeah, discipline, basically. That's the word. That's something that I've developed with calisthenics. Do it with other stuff. Calisthenics was really a very good tool for me to do it because you don't have it. Now you have, I'm a trainer. Some other people are are trainers, but it's something that when I started, and also most of the people that are studying, they don't have a trainer. They have to have self-discipline and do it themselves. And if you succeed in doing that, you develop a really high ability of discipline, which helps in every aspect of the life. Other than that, I would say that a lot of social circles, especially in Israel, but I'm sure that all around the world, the calisthenics community it varies from country to country, also depending on the temperature of the country, but not always, because in Sweden it's really cold, but the community is very warm. But yeah, I definitely can say that a lot of social circles and friends that I've done projects and trips and I don't know, just good memories with are because of calisthenics. I guess that most of the people that I know in my life are related to calisthenics because I know a lot of people from calisthenics. That's really something really important that I have.
Yeah, I learned the discipline through my kickboxing career when I did kickboxing for 4 years. I can see that in calisthenics as well when people starting building that discipline, coming there also for the community to hang and just relax the brain from everything else.
Which is legit, very legit. But if you want to become a professional in everything, you're going to have the stage of it starting to get hard, really hard, not just from the outside. You're going to really feel that it's hard for you to do it. You don't want to get out and do it. If you are able to go past this stage, you're just literally developing your discipline. And that's maybe the difference between professional athletes and amateur athletes. I think it's the discipline. Because it's not that they have special power or were given special abilities. It's just the discipline.
There's few that have genetics like crazy, but it's one out of, I don't know.
No. The genetics can always help. But if someone is very disciplined, someone has really good genetics and long-term discipline, one will always win.
It's like a quote that I love. It goes like this. It's hard to beat a man who never gives up.
Definitely. I agree with that a lot.
If not calisthenics, what sport would you be doing?
That's a really hard question.
Well, would you be doing any sport?
Yeah, so that's more of the direction I'm going to go to. I also I studied a lot when I was younger. Like I was in a scientific class in high school. In elementary school, I just had really good grades. Actually, I didn't study too much. I was just good with studying. I didn't sit like all day, but I had to, study because I was in advanced courses, let's say that. In the army, I went to do computer. Maybe if the sport wasn't there, which was a lot above computers in my priorities, that's why I'm doing it now and not in the army. But maybe if I wasn't doing the sport, I would just do programming. I'm good at it, and you can have good career with it. My perspective on that is really changed now. Maybe because of the sports too, but maybe if sport wasn't there, maybe that would be it. Maybe other sports that I really don't have in mind because I'm really like calisthenics is so rooted in me. They don't even have anything else I'm thinking about doing right now. Maybe there would be something, I don't know.
In Israel, you need to go to the army. You went to the army but quit it. Why? What was the reason?
Just wasn't really going well with the sport. So I know that so far I thought that it's going really good and the sport is growing, but it's still not where we want it to be. It's not official here in Israel. And when you go to the army and you want to go as a sportsman, as an athlete, your sport has to be official, because if it's not official, it's not existing. Calisthenics wasn't official, although I was a national champion 2 times at that time. I was competing in international competitions and had also some labels. They didn't give a fuck. Just because calisthenics is not official, so they don't have the responsibility. I tried to do both. I tried to juggle calisthenics, international freestyle career, and a very heavy job in the army with a lot of responsibility. And together, pushing everything together just led me into depression.
But explain for those who are listening who don't know. I know the story a little bit, but from your brother Tom and you as well when we were talking. How was the schedule? Because you said both, but people don't understand what that means.
The only thing is the job was confidential, so I can't really talk about it much nowhere, basically, not even with the family.
But the timing, like when did you start and so?
You mean like the daily schedule, right?
Yes.
Some of the service, I did some courses and stuff, so I was coming home only once every 2 weeks for a weekend. Like that was maybe half a year in total. But for the other year, it was starting at 9 a.m. and going home and finishing at 7 p.m. In the army. So all of the other time I can have for training for the rest of my life. You know, I had a girlfriend at the time. You want to sometimes rest. You know that my training is not just like going for an hour for the gym, like some people do. And it requires a lot of mental clarity and focus and energy, and also time, which is something that I lacked of after 10 hours of being in the army, and programming, which is very like it burns your brain. So that was the schedule, and I did it. But the consequences were depression, because after 1 year of that, your mental health is just decreasing. I wasn't aware of my mental health at all. I didn't stop for a moment to just check up with myself. Only, just I was always active, doing that, doing this, doing that, doing this. I had the world championship in this period of time. I took the 5th place. It was just crazy, but it was really hard. That's how I really developed deep depression. That's why I also finished the army, for your question. Basically, at a point, I went to see a psychiatrist there, and they told me you have the legitimacy to just go out of the army because your mental state is very bad. There was a bit of problem with the system there. It's not only my fault, it's also the fault of some of my commanders, but I won't really go into that.
It's good that you shared the story, because I think many people are comparing to their country and their service, how they did in the army. They had time to work out, they had this. Like I always say, it's always different with every country, and every country have different rules. I followed you for a long time, and you have been in Sweden as well. You have mentioned a couple of times that you are depressed. I would love to talk about that and share what depression really is, because as many might think that it's just something that passes, like it's a state during a time. I'm depressed for 2 months, and that is not a sickness or a disease. What is depression, and how has it affected you?
Okay, so I would start with saying that depression is not something that everybody experiences in the same way. I can be depressed and another person can be depressed, and we would experience entirely different things. So I can only, of course, talk about my experience, but it's important to know this before anything. The real depression started in the army, as I said. It was really bad. When I had a lack of time and a lot of pressure, that led me to just being my mental energy was very low, which is something that is very common for me to feel while I'm depressed. So my mental energy is really low. When that happens, your perspective on life changes a lot. Things that you used to enjoy look like a burden now. Meeting people feels like a burden, because when you have so little energy, you're naturally, in a survival way, try to keep it and not give too much out. And then what happens is that things that you like become a burden. Everything becomes meaningless. It's kind of putting like black and white goggles on. Everything it's the same, but it looks different. The meaning is different. It looks more just depressive. And that's basically a general way to describe it. I can say that in terms of calisthenics, training became something that I don't like to do, but I rationally knew that I had my goal. That's the discipline I was talking about. Every cell of your body tells you, and in your brain tells you not to go train, but your discipline pushes you to do that. And it was really hard to train when I was depressed.
If somebody says, yeah, but it's gonna pass, how do you answer that?
I can say personally, and for a lot of other people, because I'm reading about some, like I'm following people that are talking about mental health and stuff like that. Saying to someone who is depressed, "Don't worry, it's gonna pass," or saying "Don't be sad," or saying like it's gonna be okay, like repetitively, it's not efficient at all. I would say I rationally know that when I feel really bad mentally, when I have days where I don't wanna go out of bed, I know that maybe tomorrow it's gonna be different. I know it's better than the people who is saying it, because I experienced it, but it still doesn't help to hear that. What you can do for someone who is depressed is basically ask them if they want to share, and if they do, let them know that you are willing to just listen. People feel the need to reply and and if I say I feel depressed and sad, the automatic answer from the other side to help would be, don't be sad, don't be happy, you have that to be happy for, you have that to be happy for. But really, for me and for a lot of other people that I know, when you're depressed, being listened to is the most valuable thing that someone can do for you. Like when you're depressed, you're still the same person. You know that you rationally know everything that people are telling you. And that's basically a very big advice I can give people who are dealing with other people that are depressed. Yeah, about how the depression affects me right now, if that's basically since I started going into spirituality and self-development, I started meditating, doing cold showers. gratitude journaling. That these things really help the depression. But I'm still taking antidepressants, so it's pills that are basically raising the serotonin level in the brain, and that's how they are kind of. It's not even solving anything. It's just numbing the depression.
So you have the time to work on the mental part.
Exactly. You use it as a tool to be able to cope with the stuff that you need to fix or to improve, but it's not solving the question. And my goal is to just talk with them as soon as possible. But how it's affecting me daily is basically I have sometimes I have days, better days and worse days, like everyone. But when it's not that good, I can have days where I just really just I don't feel like I have any reason to go out of bed. I have no willing to record anything for social media, to edit anything. I have no willing to communicate with everyone. That's where it's very worse. Normally, I'm not hyped about doing a lot of stuff, but I learned how to push myself to do them.
This is a question I get frustrated about when people write to me, because when I've shared some stuff about you on my social media, no matter if when you were in Sweden, whatever, I've got messages from different people, and they say, "How can you be with the killer? They attacked the Palestinian," and things like that. And what is it all about? Like, I know it's been a war, but like, why is there hate towards you as a person that is from Israel?
That's a very complicated subject. Palestinian conflict of the Middle East. Everyone knows it in some aspect. I'm living it. I would just say that there's a big conflict about the physical land here. There's a group of people that think that it's their land, and another group of people that think it's their land. And the problem is that some of them are not willing to share for reasons that some other people might find legit. I can say personally that I'm trying to be as far as I can from it, because I'm here, so you can just run away. But from the subject, but I'm not going into it deep because I feel like there's a lot of hate in it, and I feel like it's just there's a lot of brainwashing propaganda for each side. I don't want to be affected by. When I look at it clearly, I can say that I just want to live in peace with everyone around me. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't. Their ethnicity doesn't matter, which is just labels. It doesn't even say anything about them as a person. I don't care about that. I just want to live in peace. And there's a lot of other people that feel just like me, and are unfortunately, because of the people who make the decisions, above, the problem to get to an agreement for a lot of years now. And for your question, that was about the topic. I hope that's understandable enough, because it's a very complicated thing. Although it sounds simple, you can go really deep in that, and I'm honestly not willing to dive in that.
For me, I don't understand how a person can write to another person and say, "I hate you." How can you be with that person? He's from Israel.
So that's like specifically what I want to get into right now. The people who write me, and I get these messages every once and then. Like, it's not very rare for me to get a message. I got one just yesterday night. People are tagging me in the stories sometimes about Palestine and stuff. People are saying "fuck you." It's very common. Some messages in Arabic sometimes. I think I don't feel any hate for them. I just feel, again, a bit compassionate for them, because I know that they have been brainwashed since a very early age, probably, that we are conquerors. We, like Israelis, are conquerors. The Jewish people are bad, like that. Not specifically Jewish, but Israelis, Zionists. We stole their land, and their life purpose is to achieve it back. I would say that it's just brainwashing, and I don't feel bad about myself. I just feel bad for them, and I sometimes even try to be kind to them after these messages, so they get the idea that I'm not finding anyone, and they shouldn't as well. Everything can be solved in a diplomatic and talkative way, but swearing, like, it's violent in every, like, it's not physical, but it's verbal violence, and I don't think violence is the answer to anything. I'm not in their perspective, but I can definitely understand why they got into this perspective.
I don't understand how the sport can combine into the politics of things just because a person is from one country. That's wrong, in my opinion. And for those who are hating, go check yourself in the mirror, because it's nothing wrong against any country or person. It's you are feeling something inside that you maybe shouldn't. Like somebody has pushed that feeling or thought inside of you? Besides calisthenics, do you have any other passion?
I used to have a passion for editing and then filming. Now it's, let's say, I don't know if it's a real passion that is really burning in, but I just like really, like, I like taking pictures, taking videos, editing when I have the energy for that. But I just recently discovered that I really like building stuff physically. Tom was buying some I don't know how to say, furniture for his room,
Yeah.
and from IKEA.
Okay.
I just started to help him, and I really felt like I'm just really like enjoying it in a special way, you know? So yeah, that's something that I'm trying to maybe get a bit into lately. Maybe thinking about maybe having a project like not buying some wood or stuff, and then just building something for myself, maybe related to calisthenics, maybe not, but that's something that I lately started to get into.
You have a pretty big following. Do you feel that social media put a lot of pressure on you?
I feel like social media has the potential to put a lot of pressure on me. I will talk about myself. In the past, it did put a lot of pressure on me because when you have a lot of followers, you have a lot of people watching you. And when you have a lot of people watching you, you have also a lot of opinions about you. When you're affected by these opinions, there's like infinite pressure. The more you dive into it, the more you think what these people think of me, what that people think of me, and you just go deeper and deeper. It's just more pressure. In the past few months, I started in my journey self-acceptance, accept myself before I seek any other approval. And this is something that really helped me with Instagram, because now I don't know if you saw it, because most of the stories that I really talk to the camera are in Hebrew. Actually, I'm talking freely, and I start the video, like the story, in a point where I know that I don't care about what people are going to think about the story. I'm not playing, because in the past I used to plan the story according to what I think people will think. Now when I do it, I just open the camera and I just talk straight from my heart. I don't let the thoughts of what other people will think of me just take a place in my mind. That's basically authenticity, I would say. That drops a lot of pressure from you if you are taking this kind of mentality. Again, definitely, I think there's so much potential for being very pressured for every little thing that you do on social media, for every like that you give, for every comment that you comment. It's from the like if I comment on some big post, people like my comment sometimes, and there's also definitely, of course, people who don't like my comment and think stuff about me. So it can start from the likes you do, the comments you do, the posts you post, the stories, the collaborations you do, and the people you follow. But if you understand that it's not about the outside acceptance, but the inside acceptance, it basically just makes all of this pressure vanish, and then there's a lot of joy that comes into social media, in my opinion.
That's nice explained. When I started social media, got following, got followers, I had already from the beginning, I had this mentality. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks what I'm gonna do, but I still give a shit what they think. It's too, like, I care, but I don't care. It's a weird, I don't know how to explain it. I know Gary Vee explains that really well. Yes, of course, sometimes you have a bad day when you get a comment, you can feel that comment, but then when you just, I always think, will I care about this in 5 years? And I'm like, nah. So I move on. What is the best memory you have so far from calisthenics?
It's actually hard to answer because honestly, I have so many good memories that every time really it warms my heart so much and excites me. It's so hard for me to compare. So I would share two types, because there's a lot of memories from fans in international countries that I just go to and they start talking to me and they realize that I'm human and that I'm not a supernatural alien. And then I really like the vibe of talking with someone that is so different in terms of level and publicity in street workouts, but everything just, all of this difference in level just vanishes when you go for a 1v1 talk with someone. And then I don't know, I find it somewhat beautiful to talk with someone that thinks I'm a super legend, I don't know, alien. And then after a few words, they discover that I'm human. I just like discovering other people, you know. And when it's somewhat beautiful to me. I don't know how to explain it specifically, but I have a lot of memories from different countries, Hong Kong, I don't know, USA, all of Europe. It's amazing. There's also the kind of memories from competitions, and it's not specifically the competition time. It's most of the stuff around it. So before and after the competition, being with athletes, making just good memories, laughing with everyone, knowing them personally, beyond the labels that everyone has. Everyone has their labels. I have labels on me that social media put on me, and just sitting with a group of athletes, everyone from different country, and going beyond the labels and really knowing personally people, that's amazing. It's really an amazing feeling. Also, just traveling with my Israeli friends, with Tom, with Matan, that's also that I would never forget because it's amazing.
Do you like any other sport than calisthenics?
If I like watching,
Not maybe watching, maybe doing.
I appreciate all sports. I like sports in general. There's not a specific sport that I like doing competitively other than street workout, but I like watching when I have the chance other sports, just because professional athlete I can always relate a bit to every other athlete in a very basic way, and that's something that I just like doing with every sport. So I like watching soccer. I like watching basketball. I actually started playing the PC a bit in the quarantine, which is also a kind of sport. And actually, Tom was competing in Fortnite, like professionally. So that's actually also a sport. Now that I think about it, that I like watching. There's no specific sport that pops to my mind, but I do appreciate all sports, you can say.
So, do you believe in the term sport is health?
I don't think the sport is health. I think that if you want to be healthy, sport is a very good tool to use. Sport is just a tool. I don't see it as health. It consists of a lot of things. There is a mental part, physical part. Both of them you can dive really deep into. I think that sport is something that you can use to develop these aspects, mental and physical. But it's not the health itself. That's kind of technical, but I see them as different things. I have my health and I'm using sports to contribute to my health, but I'm also going to a therapist to contribute to my health, and therapist is not health.
Do you think being a professional athlete is healthy?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think that when you go in calisthenics specifically, when you do it professionally in the extreme way, not just doing some freestyle sometimes, like if you're competing a lot and training a lot, then there's some aspects that are not healthy, that are not very useful to contribute to your health. Freestyle is dangerous in the high professional levels, and even if you do it in a competition with mattress, it's dangerous. I've seen a lot of people getting injured, and that's not healthy, right? Also, doing a lot of statics can also cause injuries, and if you're not training very carefully, you can also have long-term injuries that will affect you when you stop the sport. It's also not good. So I think that if you do anything very professionally and extreme, it can not be as healthy. I do feel that being a professional athlete contribute to my health in very different ways as well. For example, mental health, my self-discipline, for example, my values, and also my physical health is good compared to an average person, I would say. It also comes with this side, but also if you're doing it very professionally, it can also harm you, and you have to take that in. You have to take that to count this in. You have to know this if you want to be a professional athlete.
Because I don't see being a competitive athlete is not healthy at all. I don't see that. Because the reason I see that is that if you want to stay healthy, you don't need to compete. You don't need to go to that, the edge of getting injured. Because many people see that, competing, being an athlete on high level is healthy. I'm like, no, it's not, because you're pushing the boundaries every single time. And is that health? No, health is just staying healthy, working out, get your blood flow, pulse, and everything.
It depends. It really depends if you want to be healthy or if you want to be competitive. If you want to be competitive and then ask if it's healthy, I would say it really depends. There is a part of it that is not healthy. If you only want to be healthy, don't be competitive. It doesn't make.
This is an important question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Who is stronger, you and your brother?
Me or my brother?
Yes.
I'm very ready for this question.
It's not a serious one, but and many people asking.
Yeah, but I have a serious answer, and I have around 21 years of experience with this question. You have to start with definitions and define what strong is. Strong is very, very general. I assume that people are talking about physical strength, and this is also very general. Still, in terms of street workout, again, Tom is better than me in balancing. Tom's balance is better. That's a kind of strength. Tom's planches can be better than mine, depends of the time. His form is definitely better. But then in dynamics, freestyle, I'm stronger. In pull, I'm stronger. Arm wrestling, I usually win, if that's interesting. Yeah, that's it. But there's no one definite stronger, objectively stronger. It doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. It depends on how you define strength. Okay, so who started calisthenics first, you or your brother?
Together, I would say even on the same day, definitely together. There wasn't a time frame between me and him. We were always training together and we started together.
How is it to be a professional calisthenic athlete in Israel?
So there's the aspect of how the public and community treats you, and then there's the aspect of how the authorities treat you. Because when you're a professional international athlete, you would expect the country to have attention for you, you know. Community-wise, it's amazing. People appreciate it. I feel like I can really bring my values into the community because people look at me and, you know, appreciate me, learn from me, from my words, but also from my acts. I have good values, and I think I have some good values to pass. People take it. That's a really good thing that I'm very happy to have the power to do as a professional athlete. But then there's the authorities side, and that really sucks. As I said, in the army, no one gave a shit about me because of the sport. I'm only talking about calisthenics. My mayor doesn't give a fuck about me. He knows about my existence. He knows that I was in the World Championship twice, took 5th place, 3rd in Euromala World Cup, 3 times Israeli champion. He doesn't give a fuck. He cares more about the Ninja Warrior winner than me, and I appreciate the Ninja Warrior winner a lot, but it's different sports. My labels aren't even national, it's international, and he doesn't give a fuck. So that sucks. But we are working on improving this as well. I don't let it stop me. I just work with what I have.
If somebody is from Israel, how do they get into the community, get to the meetups and so on?
So if you're Israeli, or if you're someone that is moving to Israel and is not speaking Hebrew, we have a pretty big community. And the thing about the community is that Tom and I and a couple of other friends that we were the OGs that started, we opened WhatsApp groups for basically the whole community. Right now, there's like 3 or 4 groups of 256 people on WhatsApp. Yeah, and there's still a lot of people that are not in the groups. I get messages literally every day from people that want me to add their friends or to add them to the group. I honestly don't have the time to just add people all day. So there's other managers that do that. I usually send them to these managers. But if you want to get into the group or the community, what you should do is follow me. I update about all of the meetings and stuff like that. That's maybe the main Instagram page to be updated about meetings, my Instagram page. And also you can always send me a message on Instagram by DMs and give me your number, and I will pass it to someone that can add you to the WhatsApp group.
So guys, now you know how to get into the community, how you can get to the meetups if you're from Israel or traveling to Israel. When or what age do you think that you will stop with street workout and calisthenics?
I really don't think I will stop doing calisthenics in general. Realistically, there might be times in my life where I will do other stuff. I don't see it happening right now, like in my close future. I'm realistic, it might happen. But I know that calisthenics will be just rooted in me in some way, and that every time I would want to get in shape in my life, if I ever lose the shape, because right now I'm not planning on stopping, then it would be calisthenics.
What do you do for a living? Do you have a normal job?
You have to define normal first.
So normal is a 9 to 5 a job where maybe, I don't know, you're hired by somebody.
No, an option.
Not an option.
Everything I'm doing right now is building infrastructure that is not 9 to 5, that I will be able in the future to live off without having to have a boss. And right now, what I'm doing is basically working only with calisthenics, I would say. Instagram is also a part of it, but it's also basically around sports usually. So I earn money from collaborations on Instagram, which is usually around sports. Sometimes it's not, but usually I have my sponsor GORNATION, like personal trainees, and I have group trainees. And other than that, just smaller collaborations with people, a lot of other small things, but these are the main and like constant things. And it's going very well now for me. It took a lot of time to build it, like maybe 7 years, to have the experience, to have the knowledge, to do the courses, to have like the international experience, to have the clients, trust me. go from followers on Instagram to actual physical clients. But everything is working now and it's growing, and I'm really proud of it because I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss, and I don't want anyone to tell me how to do stuff because I know my own way, I know my truth, and I know how I want things to be done. And I really don't want to be normal.
You are sponsored by GORNATION, that is a calisthenic brand, and I know the owner, Phil, a really nice guy and hardworking. Why do you want to work with GORNATION? Why do you work with them?
I started working with GORNATION. I wasn't sponsored for the moment I started working with them. I met, guess who just sent me a message? Universe Synchronicity. So started working with GORNATION, and when it was really small, I think back in 2017, around May. So it's like something years now. And I was less known than now, but I was pretty known in the community. Since then, I started to really connect to the brand because of the vision of them. I think that's maybe also the answer for the question why I'm working with GORNATION now and why I decided to go for being a sponsored athlete by them. It's because I feel like GORNATION is really matching my vision for myself and for the sport. One side of it is that their main vision and goal, everything that they do is around making calisthenics bigger, making calisthenics mainstream, and that's something that I'm really working, as we talked before. One of my life missions is that. The other thing is that their mission is to help the calisthenics community. I feel personally too, and I know that every decision that they make is for the community and not for themselves. It's firstly for the community, and that's amazing. And that's again something that I really resonate with, and that's why I want to work with them. The last thing is that they have a really strong focus on quality and not on quantity. Let's say it like that. I personally know that everything that they produce is the highest quality that they can do, and that's something that is happening for me in my life. Not only where I make stuff or I don't know make random stuff. It's also in the sport when I do planches, when I do front lever, when I do dynamics. I'm always striving for the best quality and not for the quantity. And the last reason is that the team that is working there is so amazing and lovely people. All of this together just really, I feel like it's a natural connection between me and them, you know?
How long do you see yourself competing?
I don't have I didn't limit myself here yet. It depends on some stuff. Of course, my physical shape, when as you get older, after a certain age, it's starting to get worse and worse. But I don't know when. I know that Eric Eric is not that old. How old is Eric?
He's 26.
Shit, I met him when he was 22. It's crazy because I'm almost 22 myself now. So crazy. Like I had my first conversation with him one-on-one when he was 22, and he wasn't in Israel yet, which is not a good thing. We have to get him here. I assume that before 30, definitely, of course. So there's the age playing a role here. I would say if I would have to guess, the age would be 25. Maybe it really depends on where life takes me. But there's also the mind aspect of how I see things. And I know that I have a business side in me that wants to grow. And I also already started developing it. And I know that I will have to, at some point, take all of my attention and focus into business around calisthenics or sports, and not only for competitions, because where you are competing, it's taking a lot of attention and focus and energy from you. And I know that I would want to go more into the business side of it as I'm doing now, but right now I'm combining it and it's going really, really good. But at one point it might have to go more to the business side, and then I would have to take a bit from competing, or maybe even everything from competing. I'm not sure, and I really see it as dynamic. I don't feel like I have to choose anything for myself. In every moment, I choose what fits best my mental needs and physical needs and emotional needs, and then I just choose.
And bro, what do you mean 25? I'm 26.
I actually didn't say it because of the physical shape, because I believe that you can even be 30 and be strong. But it was just because I'm competing for like since 2016. Like around 10 years of competing is a lot, and maybe I would feel like I want to try other stuff at that point. But right now it's really balanced for me.
So who was your hardest battle?
That's actually pretty easy. I had a lot of hard battles, but my hardest was definitely Daniel's license. Yeah, it's not a hard question. We had a few battles before. One of the biggest battles I remember that was hard, but also a bit like it wasn't that far. Like it was pretty close. I had one fail. If I didn't have it, I might win, but he won. It was in New York, in Brooklyn Zoo. There's a competition there every year. The call out last year, not this year. I had a battle with him, which was pretty crazy. It was really good. I think it's on YouTube somewhere.
Who would you like to battle?
I don't have a preference for someone I would like to battle. I think that I can learn from everyone that I'm gonna battle. Really, literally learn from everyone that I will battle. So I don't have a preference. But if someone wants to battle me, I would love to have the experience.
What was your first competition?
My first competition was the Israeli Championship in 2015. That's the first competition. Israeli Championship against all of the really good athletes at the time. I took second place. Crazy. The level wasn't that high, but I managed to take second place because I remember that since back then I tried. I didn't even know about completeness, and being complete. I didn't do dynamics at the time because dynamics weren't. The next year there was already dynamics in the competitions, but I remember that I really tried to do everything from everything. So pull, push, dynamic strength. Today we call it that way. I didn't know the name back then, but I remember it and I took second. That was my first competition ever.
Congrats to second place.
Thank you. 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. A little bit too late. For a competition, how do you prepare and schedule your training?
So there is mental and physical preparation. It's two different aspects again, maybe with everything, mental and physical. So physically, I would say that 1 month before a competition, if I have the time, because last year I was flying so much that I didn't have 1 month before a competition. But because of this stream of competitions, I didn't have to have 1 month because I was always prepared. But usually, if I have a competition and I have a lot of time before, I would train my trainings for bettering myself, statics and dynamics. And 1 month before, I would start just repeating my stuff combos because I have a lot of combos that I can do. It can be like 2 moves consequent, like one after another, and it can be like a whole combo. But just repeating stuff that I know that I want to do or that I might need to do if I do battles. 1 or 2 weeks before the competitions, if it's a freestyle that is not battles competition, I would just do my sets one after another. For the World Championship, for example, I would do my sets, take some rest, then do my set again, take some rest, trains also the endurance, but also the technique. That's physical. Mental is very different. In the past, something that I used to do before every competition is, first of all, you have to sleep well before the competition. That's very important. You have to sleep well. If you're an athlete that is going to compete somewhere abroad or not abroad, and you have a competition and you're with your friends hyped the night before, especially if it's internationally, everyone is talking in the lobby of the hotel until late and maybe even going out. Don't be a part of that group. Go to sleep because the next day you will see who rested and who didn't. Even if you don't see it in the results specifically, I felt both of them in different competitions, and I can assure you that sleeping well is important, as well as eating well the day before, and the day of the competition. So don't go to McDonald's the day before and not in the morning of the competition. Afterwards, if you want, you can go. Small things that you might not pay attention to, but they are very crucial. Another thing that I do before competitions mentally is in the morning of the competition, I take a shower. And in the shower, I have a few mantras, like affirmations. So I would talk to myself. And if you are not able to talk to yourself right now, you feel like it's awkward or weird, that's the first stage to pass, because it's something that when you think about it, you shouldn't feel bad to do. And it's actually, in my experience and other people's experience, affects your life. So I would say to myself, if I'm aiming to win the competition, I would say I'm going to win this competition today. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my combos exactly as I planned, and just positive affirmations. And I do it in the shower. That's my ritual. Even if I don't believe it, by the way, I always in the past had really I was anxious before competitions, and I had that voice that is putting me down. And there's so many good athletes. Why do you think that you're the best? You might fall. You might your trainings weren't the best before the competitions. But I still out loud say the positive. I counter the negative voice with my own voice, and that's something that affects. And I can definitely say that in the last competitions, when I said it, I really felt it. I knew it. I believed in it. That's something that I do. Other than that, just try to relax and not think too much about the competition and enjoy with the other athletes. That's maybe the most amazing part of competitions.
And I think a lot of people have that voice when competing. The voice saying, hey, are you going to make that? You didn't land that move, or the move was unsure when you last trained it. And this voice in your head, and you just need to crush that. You need to talk to yourself, and that's why I do also, like, talk. I'm like, I'm gonna make it. I trained for this. I was training. I've done this so many times. I'm gonna make it. And I think many people can resonate with that who are competing and have gone to that stage or that period of their competition life. When you started with calisthenics, what did you start with?
Sets and reps, basics, one to 1.5 years of only pull-ups, push-ups, dips. I think that it's just such a wonderful and there's so much variety in this, and people just see the Planters 360s. They see the people that are hyped about it, like the people that think it's cool. I don't know. Maybe that's because I started from passion and not because I want people to look at me and say, how cool are you? And also, reminder, when I started, it wasn't cool at all. So we just did what we wanted to do, not affected by the other opinions. Sets and reps is just an amazing world. Like, except for the physical advantages that you will have if you are doing sets and reps, you will also just enjoy it if you go into it. There's people until today that are doing only sets and reps, and they're so happy and enjoying the training. So that's something amazing that my trainees, everyone is doing sets and reps. Like, I don't let anyone not do it. I feel like everyone should. And by the way, they're falling in love with it. It's not that they feel like they have to do it. And I think that everyone that started calisthenics or even started a few years ago and doesn't do set and reps, just start doing it now, because it's something that everyone should do, in my opinion. But I feel like if you really give it a chance, I'm talking to the freestylers now. If you really give it a chance, except for the physical advantages that Daniel is talking about and I'm talking about, which is there's a lot of them, you'll also start saying that there's something in it that you're gonna like.
You can see on the freestyle as well, when you get strong in the basics, your freestyle develops so much faster. So guys, do your sets and reps. You have been doing calisthenics for a while. Are you always motivated to work out?
No, of course not. The opposite is true. In the past year, I had more trainings that I didn't want to go to than I want, just because of the depression we talked about lately. I had trainings where I literally every moment that I was on the bar, except for really focusing on freestyle, I just thought about, I don't want to be on the bar right now. That was really intense and depressive period of time. It was literally like that. And again, it's my discipline that helped me push. And now that I'm motivated to train, which is not always, by the way, which is really not always, it's like I feel like I'm even a bit superhuman, you know? Because I know that when I don't want to train, I can still do everything I want to do. And I know that when I don't want to train, I can still do crazy freestyle. And honestly, I've gone to the level where I don't want to go on the bar, but I can do a shrimp flip ganger, 360 ganger, 360, stuff like that, when I don't want to do it. And it's just because I pushed myself so many times. But then when I have the motivation, I feel like I have like a superpower. And I can just do a crazy set that no one expected, and me neither.
Besides the depression, I think it's not only, you are not always motivated.
I meant that for me, it's in my feeling, it's sometimes even more to the side. But if you're training for like constantly for more than the hype period, that is different for everyone. You won't want to train always. That's anything that you will do. If you start getting serious with it and do it consistently, there will be a moment where you get to it and you're like, wait, I don't really want to do it now. Where again, the discipline that we talked about comes in. Guys, you don't have to want to train always, but if you want to be better, you have to train even when you don't want to train. And just you can also get motivation from this video right here, from his channel, from my channel, from reminding yourself what is your purpose, what are your goals. You don't have to like don't let your impulse dictate the fact if you are training or not.
I want to be transparent with those who are starting out. Like, it's not easy all the time. The hype will get over. You will not always be the hype guy. You always feel that you're gonna do it. Sometimes you just need to do it. You need to shut up, just go on the bar, do what you have planned to do, and nothing more. The next training, you feel amazing. Do you like to train in a group or alone?
It depends on the kind of training that I do. Most of my trainings I would prefer to do in groups. I like the social. I like the fact that people can look at me and, you know, I have like other eyes outside, and there's more hype in a group usually. But there's kind of trainings where I like to be alone. For example, in quarantine, I like to do basics alone. I had my time with myself. I could concentrate on myself. no attention for the outside, my own pace, no need to talk too much. That's also something that I like. Balance. Sometimes I like to do balance trainings at home alone, but most of my trainings are definitely in groups, I would say, yeah.
What is your top 3 tips for beginners who are starting calisthenics?
It's always funny to me when people ask for tips because I find it so general. Like it's so general. Whenever someone asks for a tip for me, I say you have to be more specific. They want a tip for, I don't know, for a planche. They want a tip for a 360. But tips for calisthenics is just, it sounds so general to me because for me calisthenics is such a big thing with a lot of like depth. So just a tip on the surface is really hard for me to give. But I can try. It can be interesting.
Okay, so if a beginner comes to you, say, hey, I'm starting out, what should I start with? Like 3 things I should start with.
The first thing I would say, as we talked before, start with the basics. Start with pull-ups, push-ups, dips. There's so much stuff to do with them. Just do this good enough basics. That would be the first thing I would say. The second thing would be don't hurry. Take your time and just trust your process. If you're hurrying up with street workouts, dynamics or statics doesn't matter. It can really lead to injuries because the sport is so intense. It puts your body in positions that are not, that the pressure on the body is not natural. You know, planche is a lot of pressure on all of your body. If you're just gonna try to do full planches before you even have a started planche, you might injure yourself. People have ripped their biceps and stuff from that. You don't want to do that. Take your steps slowly with the progressions needed. Do your research for that. And the last advice would be don't give too much attention to the process of other people. It can only slower your process. I do think that other people can give you motivation. I'm not saying that you have to ignore everyone. If every decision that you make is based on the other person's process, you're not gonna give the full attention to your needs, and then you're gonna just progress slowly, more slowly, slower.
Some athletes say that freestyle is shit. What is your opinion on that? Do you think that as well?
Yeah, I think that freestyle is shit. No, I think that I really understand where they're coming from when they say that. I really understand the people that say the real street workout is only strength. Dynamics is becoming gymnastics. It's not street workout. The real stuff is to go out into the streets and do, I don't know, basics or do planches or do like crazy variations of front levers. But I just don't feel like I connect to this perspective myself. I'm really into moving, you know. I'm really into dynamic moving. I feel like, and I also like strength a lot. So for me, freestyle is the optimal answer because if you're combining in freestyle, you're gonna have to be good at both. Personally, just like doing both. I like having strength and developing strength, and I also like moving and learning techniques and fast-paced motion and movement. So that's something that I really like. And for me, freestyle is the answer because if you want to be professional with freestyle, you're gonna have to work on both. And then when I'm competing, I can use my preference for my advantage, you know. But again, people who say that it's shit, I don't know. That's a bit of judging. I don't like judging that way because the fact that you don't like it doesn't mean that it's objectively shit. But I do understand that perspective, and I really like seeing athletes that do only statics, and I really like seeing athletes that do only dynamics. Each one of these types really give me inspiration. Also about basics, by the way, people who do only set lefts also. I really like seeing that.
Do you think that dynamics is easy?
Definitely not. It's just a different type of challenge. Two very different types of challenges. I assure you that the strongest guy in the world, if he doesn't do dynamics at all and you're gonna tell him do a 360, he might be afraid if he's a normal human. And that's totally normal. But that's the kind of challenges you have in dynamics. In statics, you're afraid of doing a planche. You just have to work for 1 year to get it. That's a different thing.
What was the first dynamic skill and static skill that you learned?
For basics, I started with basics, and then statics. And for statics, it was probably the back lever, maybe the L, if that's even considered statics. It is, but probably the back lever. Yeah. Dynamics would be the 360. No, it would be the over the bar. We used to call it a vault because in parkour, we didn't know any name. In parkour, that's how you call it. We had friends who did parkour, so we called it a vault, but that was over the bar.
What is the best tip you have to get over the fear of dynamics?
I'm actually planning on doing a whole YouTube video about it. So if you're watching this interview, go to my channel and check if it's already up. But I would try to summarize it. First tip would be just try a lot. Of course, have a mattress, have a safe area when you can train and minimize the chance for injury. But try a lot. Just throw the trick as many times as you can, and with time you see that you lose the fear. And then when you have tricks that you have to send it, and an alley-oop, for example, you can't just try a lot because you just get used to a technique that is not going to the other side of the bar. For that type of tricks, I would say that you have to try to start changing your perspective about fear and understand that fear is a good mechanism that our mind has for protecting ourselves, but it's not always something that is useful. You want to control the fear in some way and not let it 100% control you. And when you understand that fear is only thoughts, you can also overcome it in different methods. I won't go deep into that right now, but try to change your perspective about fear and not look at it as something that stops you from doing the trick, but as another obstacle that you have to just pass.
So have you got any injuries?
Right now or in general?
No, in general. Have you had any?
In general, I had so many. It's not, you can't even count them. Like I didn't always have the knowledge that I have right now. I have had a lot of injuries. I learned from each of them. My wrists, I had injuries in both of my elbows a few times, in both of my shoulders a few times, in my back, even in my foot, a few times in each of these parts, except for and that's something that you learn from. It's not something that you can avoid if you're doing sports professionally, but you can minimize the chance for getting it, and you have to know how to take care of it.
If you had to choose, only statics or only dynamics?
I hate this question so much. That's really hypothetical because I will never have to choose. That's so hard for me.
Somebody has a gun against your brother. You need to choose.
I know that. Okay, I really like dynamics. It's probably very seen on my profile, and a lot of people think I prefer dynamics because of that. But the truth is that I like statics so much, and if I have a training and I don't do statics in the training, I really feel I feel like bad with myself, not about myself, but in myself, because I really feel like it's missing. And when I'm doing freestyle sets, if I'm not training dynamics specifically, I always add statics because I like it. But if I would have to choose, I would probably, I don't know, I would say dynamics just because there's a lot more variety and adrenaline and risk. And I do like the extreme part of it, but I would never just drop statics. I would never become a dynamic athlete. I know that for sure.
Your favorite skill and why?
My favorite static skill is full plunge, but I would talk about my dynamic one, which is Ganger. And why? First of all, I think the movement is really cool because it's rotation in two axes. It's the flip axis and twist axis, and you have 360 in one of them and 180 in the other. So that's really interesting, and I think that there's so much options for playing with that in the trick, which you don't have in other. The real reason why I like it more than others is that I had a really big, long journey with it. I was the first one to do it in Israel, and the technique is a bit complicated, and I had to do it myself, and I had learned it 5 times and lost it 5 times, and literally learned it and lost it, learned and lost it, and now I can say that I'm really good at it, and I like it. I like the feeling.
Who is the top 3 most complete athletes in the world, in your opinion, right now?
The first one would be my good friend Daniel Slizans, and not because he's a good friend of mine, just because I appreciate him as an athlete. He's super complete. His dynamics are clean. There's a lot of variety and high-level dynamics, and his statics are, again, super clean and high-level. He can really connect them in a very flowy and clean way, so that makes him a very complete athlete. Eric Ortiz also, because his statics are not human, like alien, and his dynamics are, in my opinion, not as clean as good as his statics, but are still very high-level, and he has some really interesting and different dynamic moves. And I like his flow. That makes him a very complete athlete and one of the most complete athletes too. And his level is just insane. And the last one, I would actually go for Thomas Kurganov. Actually, also, we're friends, and he's a really humble and nice guy, but he's just a crazy beasted athlete. It's insane. His statics are unbelievable, and his dynamics are amazing. I actually see a bit of resemblance between our dynamics and the combos he chooses to throw, and I think he's one of the most complete and high-level athletes in the world right now.
Now to the last question. Your favorite quote?
That's a really good question because I have so many. I have a quotes list on my phone.
Just for this interview, right?
Just for this interview, I prepared so many quotes. I have so many, it's crazy. I like each of them would. I bet you will like it. I would go for the quote: "All history is current." Do you know that quote?
No, I've never heard it.
All history is current means, as I see it, of course, because a quote is like art, basically. Like you can comprehend it in different ways, but I feel like it's so true when you think about it, but you never think about it. All history that has ever happened, I said it weirdly, is basically summarized to this moment specifically, like the moment that we are talking now, or the moment that the viewer is watching right now. All history of humankind, and the end of it is right now, and right now will always be the end of it. From here you can go into a lot of directions. I really like to look at it as everything that has happened is not as relevant as this moment right now. Doesn't matter what happened, the most relevant moment in your life is now, and it will always be now. It will be the end of all history and the most relevant part of your life, no matter what has happened, because this is the only point where you can change stuff. You can't change anything that was or is going to be. The only thing that you can affect is this moment. This opens so much opportunity for subjects that I won't go into, but I will give you guys the opportunity to just think about this. I really went far with this concept.
Nice. I had never heard of it. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, man. That was the last question for this freaking long interview. And I'm happy that we did this finally. I just want to say thank you for being here, taking your time to actually be in this interview, be in the calisthenics show that I call it. And hopefully we meet soon. I want to travel to Israel. And the plan was this year, but we know all what happened.
It doesn't matter. You will get here, I'm sure.
So I just want to say thank you. And for those who are not following Dan on his social media, on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, I will link everything down below in the description so you can go follow him if you don't do that already.
Thank you so much. I feel really honored to be here. I'm really just blessing you for this idea and for the crazy amount of work that you're putting into this, because as a content creator, I know how crazy a project like this is in terms of editing and time that you put into it, and I know how much you right now profit from it, which is not a lot at all because of YouTube, and I just appreciate you, and I hope that the viewers are too. I'm sure that they are too, and that's something that is important to mention. Other than that, I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you so much. It was really nice to have a talk with you after since I think December, right, when I was in Sweden. And I really hope that you guys have taken something out of this for your life, even if it's a small thing. Because me and Daniel, I'm sure that both of us, our main purpose here is just to contribute something to your life, to add some value to your life. And if we did that, I'm sure that we are both just very happy.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And we'll see each other soon.
Have a great day.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Dan Rosenberg. If you want me to do more interviews like this one, hit that like button, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more interviews. The next interview is with Dejan Stipic, or as he calls himself on social media, Stipki. And I just want to remind you guys of the discount, the 10% discount if you use Flefil 10 in the checkout in GORNATION's store. If you're looking for calisthenic clothes or calisthenic gear, check them out. And I will see you in the next video.